Please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our sick, handicapped military personnel recently departed of our community, especially Mr. Sarasnik. Thank you. We got a full house today. Thank you for coming. I'm going to turn it over to Dan Miller that's going to be helping with the presentation.
Well, I want to thank Borough Manager Mr. Cower, Board Council, and Mayor Copeland. Today we want to recognize bystanders for their decisive actions and dedicated medical professionals who stepped in and stepped up during a critical moment to save a life. On June 13th at 12:26 in the afternoon, first responders were dispatched to Calvert Street for a cardiac arrest. Within just 4 minutes, the call was answered by Southbridge EMS Paramedic Supervisor Mark Succiarelli and EMT Josh Hankins. Bridgeville Police Chief Chad King and Bridgeville Fire Chief Ray Costain were also on the call. They arrived to find FedEx employee Adonis Whitner in sudden cardiac arrest, with bystander CPR already being performed by Mark McCall and Devlin Robinson. Despite the immediate efforts of these bystanders, Mr. Whitner remained in critical condition. First responders continued CPR and quickly initiated advanced life support. Even with these advanced efforts, Mr. Whitner's condition remained critical. After 20 minutes of intensive care on the scene, he was transported to St. Clair Health System's emergency department. There, Dr. Michelle Ryder led a dedicated team of nurses, ER technicians, respiratory therapists, and other medical professionals who continued the resuscitation efforts. We are fortunate tonight to have Melissa Owens and Dave Butchka, who are registered nurses who were part of the resuscitation team that day. We also have a representative of that remarkable team, Bernard Campbell, who is the pre-hospital coordinator. To continue on, after approximately 15 minutes in the emergency department, 50 minutes from the start of CPR, Mr. Whitner finally regained a heartbeat. He was eventually moved to the intensive care unit where he began a steady recovery. The event shows the importance of the chain of survival, which is the sequence of events that need to occur in rapid succession to have the best chances of survival from sudden cardiac arrest. On that day, every link of the chain came together to save a life in Bridgeville Borough. I am happy and grateful that Mr. Whitner is here with us tonight. Thank you very much. Everybody for all their efforts and what difference you made for someone that day. Thank you.
We are so honored to have you all here this evening, and we would like to present you with proclamations from Bridgeville Borough. First being Mark McCall.
Dan, if you can go over and try to get one in alone. So everyone just stays. We can have the chain, and we'll get a picture at the end.
A picture at the end?
Yep, so just stay out here. Yep, keep the chain.
Senator Robinson. It's a pleasure to be presenting you something since we're always getting something from you. Raymond Costain, our dear fireman. Joshua Hankins. St. Clair Hospital Emergency Department staff.
Yes.
Bernard.
Sure, and then
Thank you so much.
And then we can group picture with everyone, just walk up on the, behind council here. We'll do a group picture. You be in the center.
Yes. Wait a minute, I have Dan Miller.
We're gonna get a group picture with everyone. Yeah, sure. One's on the side. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how you're gonna get everyone 11.
I'll do my best.
It's okay. We need to slot in.
Yeah, I'm proud and want to stand up. I guess it's like, back here's good. I might just like shit that And can we get one back here, please? Thank you.
Alexis, did you want to have? Yeah. You want to do it now? Excuse me, everyone. Senator Robinson had something to present. So, Dan, Devlin had something he wanted to present tonight as well. So, before everyone runs along.
Yeah. Just carry it around.
Alex, you want to present yours? Do you have something to present as well?
Yeah, I just brought them, I was gonna give it to him outside, but I brought citations for everybody as well. I would just like to say that if anybody doesn't believe that there's divine intervention out there, I would have to say that I would, tell you to take a look at this story because, Adonis wasn't supposed to be delivering that route that day. He went to work and the first truck was overfilled. And so he took the second truck. Mark was not supposed to be home that day, but he had a contractor coming to look at his roof. And I was not supposed to be home that day either.
Wow.
And, whenever we looked at all the footage, CPR was started within 2 minutes of Adonis going down. You all came within, I think, 6 minutes. Chief King and Chief Costain were there, and everything worked like clockwork. So I just want to say thank you for everything that you've ever done to prepare for something like this, even though you didn't know it was coming, so thank you.
All right,
Thank you all for your time. Thank you.
thank you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start with the regular meeting. Comment. First up, Jay Steck. Mr. Steck.
Yeah, got a couple of problems I'd like to bring up. One is a little Maple Street from the construction vehicles. We got a 100-foot long puddle. It's 3 to 5 feet wide after it rains. It's been 2 years. Winter's coming. A quick fix is running, gouging the concrete, cutting some grooves in so the water flows into the sewer. Or you're gonna have to resurface it to get the ground to drain properly. Second issue I'd like to bring up is about the property owners. A couple years ago, how the FEMA bought the properties, tore them down because of the flooding and that. So I'd like to know if there's anything in the works for the existing property owners to pay flood insurance. We'd like to see like a freeze in taxes, future taxes or something, because for flood insurance, for instance, if you have a $75,000 house, you're paying $1,300 a year in flood insurance alone. Now, if you get flooded, you have a $2,000 deductible. So that's $3,000 right there, $3,500. So if they can, and I can't see how in the future the government can raise your property taxes when the government paid to tear your neighbor's property down. Is what I'm about to bring up. What about the people that still suffer? And I'm not complaining about living in a floodplain, because I chose it. Anyone can move, but somebody's got to live there. But we shouldn't have to keep paying rising taxes when we're getting taxed with the flooding. You know, you can try doing flood prevention. I understand there's millions of dollars going to this project, millions going here. You take the park away, you do this and that. But you ain't stopping Mother Nature, okay? The water's coming, the water's coming. You know, but us property owners, and I'm surprised more property owners don't speak up about this. But I myself would like to see it free in my taxes. I'm not asking for a reduction, but because you're not getting the tax base for my properties pulling down, and they was all investment properties. But I'm not here to dispute that, you know, because other people could have bought a buyout, I assume. But I'm just bringing up about the tax, future taxes, because I know taxes will go up and up and up, and I want to see mine stay where they're at. Because with the flood insurance, and the flood insurance, you got a 30-year mortgage, you take the 30-year mortgage out today, and on a $75,000 house, and that's small price. Today, you're paying $1,300 a year. 10 years from now, you're doubling that, if not triple. And that's for 30 years of your mortgage. So that's a tax for 30 years. And the only people really that's investing in our flood area is investors, and they run them out. You know, so I hope someone tries to do something, because I know I was here at the one meeting a few years ago, and they said everybody's tax is going up $100. No ifs, ands, buts about it. So if you can arbitrarily just say that, well then you people can sign a pen and freeze it too. And that's all I have to say. And I'd like to know one thing, what's up with the Laurel Street steps? And why they stopped cutting the grass there? Grass ain't been cut in a while. And I have a video to show you, sir, about the creek wall when the water comes up. And no one's ever patched it where it leaks through. All they need is a couple cans of spray foam like the contractors do. So thank you for your time. And I hope something gets done on the tax freeze. You know?
Bob?
Thank you. Bob Colmar, 1405 Missouri Avenue. This is a concern, potential, maybe down the road. Word on the street, pretty good source. My property, or our property, abuts 23 acres of undeveloped land in Upper St. Clair, which is above McLaughlin Run Road. Pretty good source is that property is soon going to get sold. If the price is right, to developer, to addition to another 20 acres below Critchfield Street. This would be a potential concern to those of us on Missouri Avenue, Critchfield, New York Street, Pennsylvania Avenue. Well, that's not everybody that comes out through. On my way down every night, really here, Missouri Avenue is really one lane because of the cars parked on the street. So, and even coming out of Critchfield with Missouri, making that turn, you can't see cars coming. So we have the traffic now, but this development, again, the word, this is preemptive or potential. The word is that the developer wants to petition, access that altogether 55 acres with a vacant lot on Missouri Avenue. Parcel, I think it's B130D. I have a few.
B130D is in dog?
Yes. I believe it's what it said. I didn't write this, my wife did, so. I'm going to pass this down. This is a series of maps showing the borough boundaries and the different property sorts. They're looking at, what I hear, 60 units developed. This isn't happening now. This isn't happening next month. But property gets sold. They come with their drawings to the Township of St. Clair. They come to Bridgeville, I guess, for the access. This puts me in mind of the Bednar Estates. A little different though. The Bednar Estates already had access roads through Cook School and Main Street. Wasn't too much the borough could do about that traffic because the streets were already there. This is a vacant lot owned by a property owner who would be one of the sellers. So I'll have more details, but it's just awareness that the borough should be thinking about their ordinance for subdivision. It's pretty vague. Just first sentence, to assist the orderly and efficient development of the borough. That could mean we get increased tax dollars, or that could mean we get increased traffic. Good, bad. That's pretty bad. Get this left up to council at the time that they get a decision in front of them. Also to promote the health, safety, and morals and general welfare of the residents of Bridgeville. Again, pretty vague. Whatever is put in front of you, you see the tax base, or you see whatever downside or upside you see, you could read into that. There's more here with compliance, but I think when this comes up, there's a lot of acreage there, a lot of development. And I think I'll add, again, this is all rumor, and I hate to be quoting rumor, but that this developer has already approached Upper St. Clair for access on Wellington side. Wellington plan and been denied. So there's something to think about down the road. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Is that all the speakers? Okay. We'll start the regular part of the meeting. If you could please note Bruce Corducci had to leave for an emergency.
Motion to approve the August 12th, 2024 regular meeting minutes as submitted.
I'll make the motion.
Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Motion to approve the September 2024 bill list. Shane? Jason? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to approve the September 13th, 20th, 27th, October 4th, and 11th, 2024 payrolls. So moved. Bill?
Second.
Justine, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. A motion to ratify resolution number 2024-8, a resolution of the Borough of Bridgeville authorizing an application to the Pennsylvania Municipal Assistance Program for funding of the Downtown Zoning District Project.
Can I ask a couple questions?
You sure
on
can.
this? I'm a little worried about the wording on this. I don't know if you guys have any insight you can give me, but it sounds like we are taking action, whereas we are, I think, looking at our zoning. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to change our zoning or not, right?
No, this resolution authorizes the submittal of a grant. The grant, if awarded, would fund us to retain a planning consultant that would draft a zoning amendment. Once that zoning amendment is created, it would come back for you guys to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
This is just taking action to all.
I know
Apply
that's,
for it.
that's not what the wording is.
The resolution is boilerplate from the state on applying for municipal assistance funding.
So we're just gonna take a look at everything, see what's out there, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, or whether it becomes more liberal or more restrictive.
This ordinance is just saying we're applying for a grant. That's all this is.
And from what happens there, it's,
My concern is the percents, because again, I'm open to looking at it, but I'm not open to saying a project's already taking place.
If it helps at all, I do think with that explanation in the minutes, and it's clear that this is basically to get the grant funding to hire the person. And like the planning commission members are familiar, the person would actually be interacting with the staff, with the planning commission, and together coming up with a proposed draft, just like you do with comprehensive zoning amendments, and then that would be vetted through the planning commission and then ultimately presented to you folks. This is just to get the funding to actually start the process to hire somebody to help them formulate ideas and proposals.
Okay, so, well, I understand the intention. I was just concerned with the wording of it, because that's really not what it said.
I agree with you too, Jay, and I was gonna ask the same thing. Forgive my ignorance, but yeah, is this a public forum where town gets some feedback, or we present this?
Yes.
Or is this, I just wanna understand.
Yeah, this went before Planning Commission, the RFP for this project, maybe 6 months ago. And we have proposals back from 2 planning firms. The process that's recommended, if we do get money, and then if we do proceed, would be that the planning consultant would work, like the solicitor said, with the staff, with the Planning Commission members, Borough Council, and there is public involvement. There will be a town meeting to present the project, get feedback, get wants, dislikes, no's, that kind of stuff. It did show in the scope some type of surveys to get more input from people that didn't want to attend a meeting, and then that would be used to craft the zoning amendment. And then once the zoning amendment is prepared, it goes to Planning Commission, they'll flush out the details, they'll work collectively with the Borough Council. Borough Council would then hold a public hearing so that we get more added feedback before you commit to anything. So the step of saying, hey, we're passing a resolution to apply for a grant to do this project, by all means, rezones downtown Bridgeville. It is just a start to get the funding, to get the planning consultant on board. And that's if we get the funding.
Okay, thanks for your clarification.
So until it's funded, there's no moving action, it doesn't go to planning commission until we have.
No, because Planning Commission reviewed the proposals and recommended to Borough Council that the one consultant be selected, and the grant was drafted using that proposal as the cost basis for the grant.
So two proposals.
Yeah, and those proposals were not zoning proposals, here's what we think you should do. Those were just resumes, so to speak, of, hey, here's what our qualifications are, please hire us to help you study. And I think you can fairly interpret the word project as the study itself, the process of studying and coming up with ideas and proposals, which frankly, in the end, you are under no obligation to enact whatsoever.
Okay. So we can stay the same after all this?
Oh, yeah.
If
The
the public
conclusion
feels
may be,
that-
that you guys may end up in the end, and I'm not saying this is a prediction or anything, but you may study and say, we like it the way it is. That could be a recommendation,
And that has happened before.
in part or, yeah.
Thank you.
It's very similar to the process that we went through for comprehensive
Exactly,
plan.
yeah.
All right, there's always involvement with the residents and the community a few times, so.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Jason?
I'll second
Bill? All in favor?
uh,
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to adopt resolution number 2024-9, a resolution of the Borough of Bridgeville authorizing the execution of a 5-year winter maintenance service agreement with PennDOT for work performed by the borough on state roadways in the Borough of Bridgeville.
So moved.
Bill?
Second.
Jason, any questions?
yes. What is the tipping point in which they repay us? Say, for instance, we have an exceptionally snowy, icy winter. All right?
There is language in there to provide us for severe winter an allocation on top of the contract. What triggers that? Shooting from my hip, I don't know, but I know in the past we did receive compensation for severe winters, so that if you did have excessive call-outs, salt usage, they do make you.
Okay, so they're fair about it.
They're very fair.
Okay. All right.
And if you look at it, it's about $18,000. We budget about $80,000 for salt. So in theory, we're on these roads already. It's paying for 25% of the borough's salt to just take care of the
Okay.
streets.
Any more questions? Can I have a motion?
We already did
Oh,
that.
are you? I'm sorry. All in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to ratify resolution number 2024-10, a resolution of the Borough of Bridgeville authorizing an application to the Redevelopment Authority of Allegheny County for a GEDTF funding for the Chartier Park Lightning Improvements Project.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to adopt the ordinance number 1030, an ordinance amending the Borough of Bridgeville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Part 2, Traffic Regulations to add subsection 15-215, use of brake retarders prohibited if authorized by PennDOT, and to prohibit the use of Jake brake retarders on McLaughlin Run Road, at State Route 3004 from Bower Hill Road to the Upper St. Clair Township border.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to accept the 2025 minimum municipal obligation MMO to the police pension plan in the amount of $63,496 as prepared by the borough manager.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to accept the 2025 minimum municipal obligation MMO to the non-uniform pension plan in the amount of $110,900.44 as prepared by the borough manager.
I'll make a motion.
Shane?
Second.
Justine? By an inch. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to accept and pay any commission due, August 2024, real estate tax collector report. Jason? Can I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Bill?
Yep.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. A motion to acknowledge receipt of the August 2024 Treasurer's Report.
So make a motion.
Shane and Justine, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to accept all submitted August 2024 official reports.
I make a motion.
Justine and Bill, any questions on those reports? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We go to committee reports. Bruce is gone. As far as the finance, the borough was awarded a CDBG grant that will reconstruct a sidewalk ramp on Station Street. And Joe is having the fun time of starting to prepare for the 2025 budget. Good luck. Other than that, I think that's all I have. Anybody have any comments or questions on Finance Committee? Shane, Public Parks and Rec.
Thank you, sir. You mentioned the grant submitted for the lighting down at Chartiers Park. Thanks to Joe Power for assisting with that. And it's going to be a long time, but got to start somewhere and see what we can do with other funding sources. I'm trying not to steal any of Jason Sarasnik stuff this month. I always seem to take his stuff. But no, all in all, parks are open, fall ball's going. Thank you to everybody that helps keep those open, and appreciate it for the kids and the community. That's all I have, sir.
You're not going to say anything about the pickleball court?
No, I'm just going to let you announce that.
Me? No. No, we're not having an inaugural. Huh? We don't want to embarrass our opponent.
Cops versus firefighters? Chief, is right over there?
Any questions for Shane? By the way, it looks very nice. Public Works, Jason.
Well, one thing, park maintenance, they repaint the rear of Franklin Private Park. They're getting ready for curbside leaf collection starting October 14th. They clean and maintain culverts, trash racks, catch basins and swells throughout the town. They've been busy throughout town. They're always working. Always doing stuff done. All doing a good job.
Any questions for Public Works? Bill, Public Safety.
Yeah, if you recall last month, we had some folks from Patterson Avenue reference to a house up there that they've been complaining about. There's been some resolution to that. That house has been taken over by the bank, I believe, at this point, and has been boarded up. So, some resolution to that. That's all I have.
Any questions for Bill? Charles West Cog, Jason.
There are no July or August meetings, so one next week, so nothing to report.
Okay. Mayor Betty.
The annual observance of the Knights of Columbus will be held at St. Barbara's Church on Wednesday, 9/11 at 7 p.m. We urge all of you to please attend.
Any questions for the mayor? Chief King.
Thank you, Council President. Provide a written report. If there's any questions, I can provide you answers on that. Aside from the written report, we did the Shop with Cop back to school version on August 24th, and we were able to take 3 local kids shopping for back to school clothes. And I want to thank Councilman Shane Branchik for assisting in finding those kids for this year's event. And we'll need to do it again next year, so start looking.
I'd like to note that also kudos to Chief and his guys. The one boy, his parents overslept, and we couldn't get a hold of him, so they did a ride by the house, kicked in the door. No, just Tom fell back asleep, was calling me, oh, what are we gonna do? But they went and got him, and Piper, who I think rode with you.
Yes.
She got to take the whole dozen of donuts home that I got. So she was, on top of what all you guys did, she was definitely sugared up. So thank you.
Any questions for the chief? Solicitor McDermott.
Yeah, I do have my written report. If you have any questions, just want to note that Joe and I were able to secure the final flood since last week, we make a point for Kevin's folks to do their next report on the.
It was exciting seeing that last one.
Yeah, big time. And following up on Mr. Henderson's report as well, Joe actually was the zoning officer following that meeting, was able to have the assistant chief and whatnot, us to report on that also. And we should be able to work with the bank and the local close to the interest in the purchase.
Okay, any questions for the solicitor? Borough engineer?
Yes, good evening. We did submit our report dated September 5th, and the only addition I have is this evening is your annual MS4 training. I will hand out this beautiful PowerPoint presentation. Since we do have some new council members over the last couple of years, I did think tonight's training is part of the requirement of your permit from DEP. You'll hear often we talk about the MS4s and the borough's MS4 permit. MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Source System, therefore the MS4. This permit came out in around 2004, the first version. The second version was roughly 9 years later, and currently this permit was issued in 2018. It was supposed to be a 5-year cycle from 18, so 18 to 23. But it was administratively extended 2 years. And then in May of this year, and we repeat this a few times in the presentation, because it's key for the municipalities, it's been administratively extended indefinitely until they come out with new requirements for the pollution reduction. So you're going to get a little hiatus other than your annual work. So the 2004 permit was a reporting permit, and you had plans you had to put together. So if you look at, on the second page, the bottom slide, it talks about the MCMs 1 through 6. Everybody had to put together written plans that was for your MCM 1 was public education, meetings such as this, public involvement, participation. Each project involves the public. When we do engage the public, it's part of that. Number 3 is you have to do annual testing on your outfalls, where the water comes out of your storm system. Every year you have to test 20%. So even though this permit's been administratively extended, you still have those requirements. So every year you test 20%, you assist with that, and then you have to report on what the findings are of that 20% testing. Many of the outfalls are dry when we go to them. We do have to do wet tests for those that have water running out of them, and then report what's in that. An example of what we may find is you may have high pH. There could be people who call it somebody has a failing lung. Often we find chlorine, which means there's a water break somewhere in the area, or somebody has water leaking in their yard. So the idea is anything that's a pollutant we find and then report that to you, you follow up on it, and then it comes off the following year. The next one is construction activity, your ordinances. The borough has adopted a new ordinance in 18, 19, somewhere in there, and it seems like every permit cycle, they have the municipalities update their ordinances for stormwater. You've always been compliant with that. Construction activities, you don't have a lot of development, but you do have on-lot development, redevelopment, so you have regulations in place for that. And then MCM number 6 is how you operate the borough. So public works garage, making sure the facility's clean, things like that. And that you don't have any discharges from your own facilities. Next is, we often get asked questions, do you do any follow-up or inspections? And the answer to that is yes. The department has been out and done an audit, a review of the borough's books on your MS4 permit twice, and the borough's come through clean every time. So that has always been a good finding. As I indicated, the 2018 permit was the first time that the borough was required, municipalities were required to actually build something. So you have a pollution reduction plan as part of the 18 work. So the 2004, 2005 post-permit cycle for all reporting. It's just documenting, reporting, things like that. The 2018 actually required everybody to build something for the pollution reduction. So you had multiple projects that you constructed since 18, and that was to remove sediment out of the streams. They were BMPs, you know, soil concentrator that was built. So one of the things we'll do with Public Works is a training session such as this. We'll get specific on what was built and then the maintenance is required on those. Because everything that you build, they want to make sure the department that the borough is maintaining those into the future. So current status is you're complete with your work other than your annual work. And we get asked often, what's next? Your last cycle was a 10% reduction in sediment based on the loading that comes off the borough roadways. We expect that to stay the same or a slight increase in what has to be removed. The history in the country is over time, because there's the amount of loading gets decreased cycle to cycle, they increase the amount that you have to remove in your calculation. Because the idea is to remove as much sediment out of the streams as possible. And a 10% reduction across the board is what they did in 18. And that's what we're really waiting on now, is they're negotiating with EPA. We'd expect sometime over the next year, the new regs that come out, and then you'll have another report that has to get submitted with calculations at that time. We'll provide Joe some budget numbers because we think it'll happen in 2025 when we do that. And then the next construction we would have to do would be 26 or 27. So that's actually a good thing. So from 23 to 27, you get a hiatus, but we should work to build up a stormwater fund because you know that 27, 28, 29, you're going to have to spend some money on stormwater again. So, so we need to give you some estimates on that over the next couple of budget cycles so that you can set some money aside instead of having to come up with all at once. The borough was very successful in getting grants for a lot of your stormwater work and a lot of your flooding, so which is part of this as well. Any questions on that?
I do to George. In regard to the, I'm assuming that our neighbor communities also are under this plan too.
Yes.
So what happened, I mean, where are we getting all this sediment in McLaughlin Run if it's supposed to be?
The larger watersheds, the amount of sediment in comparison to the boroughs, your sediment loading, if it's, say, 50,000 pounds, the adjacent communities is like, in all likelihood, hundreds of thousands of pounds per year. It'll take 30, 40 years to see a reduction out of the large communities. In comparison to dollars, the boroughs' plans are mostly between like $100,000 and $500,000 implement. The townships that have hundreds of miles of roads, they're in the millions. There'll be $5 million, $6 million for every 5-year cycle in comparison. So, but they have 20 times the amount of roads and infrastructure that they're dealing with. And the amount of streams is significantly more within those locations. So most boroughs at the bottom of the watershed have a very small amount of the sediment loading that's actually in the watershed. Everything's coming from upstream. And to make a difference, it probably takes 5 cycles, so you're looking at 50 years to actually see a dramatic improvement from sediment. But this is one program that I personally believe works, because one of the biggest problems is saying you're the recipient of the sediment from upstream. Upstream, it had very minimal stormwater regulations up until the mid to late 80s. So you think about it, all that development happened, all those roads were put in, and it didn't have any ponds or anything at that time, which the borough was the same. The borough has no ponds in the whole system, and you're at the bottom, so you receive a lot of that sediment-laden water. So, but it will go over the long haul, will make a big impact. So.
Something, I don't know if it's related to sewage or not, but all this mine drainage is going in, all right? Is Is that,
Excellent question. So, part of the last cycle, the department is very big. I said about the reporting. So the first cycle, they had everybody report on where their lines were and where outfalls were and what came to the municipal systems. The second was, okay, tell us what's in your township. Is there mining? Is there industrial? What else is in there? This cycle, we had an appendix here. So anybody that had active mines, you had to, or old mines, you had to report if there was ever any known discharges in those areas. So we had communities that, we had to indicate, okay, this is what we knew, this is where there is acid mine drainage coming out, and that's been reported in the department. So our big picture view is the next permit cycle, they're gonna do something about acid mine drainage. And how we think that's definitely true now is the current NPDS permit, which is a sister document to the MS4 permit, they now are looking at acid mine drainage on sites and whether sites have been mined that has mine spoils on the site, and then you have to address those as part of your construction permit. So we think they're gonna finalize that document, which they just released in the last 2 weeks. And then the next thing will be the store permit, and where there's acid mine drainage, it's gonna be part of what you report on in the other municipalities. And then when somebody does a construction permit, it'll be addressed. So we think they're gonna put all that together in order to take and address the AMDs and waters. Because this area is, as you all know, there's significant mining around the community. So. Yes. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Okay, Fire Chief Costain.
Thank you, Council President. Month of August, the Bridgeville Fire Department responded to 33 calls, which brings our end of August year-to-date total to 297. For those of you who don't know, our engine is currently out of service. We suffered a catastrophic failure during training a couple of weeks ago. It is at Glick, pending repair. What essentially they have to do, because it's an American LaFrance fire truck, American LaFrance went bankrupt a few years back. So pretty much they just have to rebuild the entire pump. So it's going to be out of service for a couple of months. The good news is Bower Hill Fire Department has been generous enough to lend us their engine, so we're covered. And lastly, we have three new EMTs. Youngest being Evan Schwab, at 16 years old, passed his National Registry EMT. And then just this weekend, John Teep and Justin Pennion passed theirs as well. So we have now 10 EMTs in the borough of Bridgeville and 3 paramedics. That is all I have to report.
Wonderful. And thank you all for coming to represent and see Ray receive the award. Greatly appreciate it. Dan Miller.
Our report was submitted, otherwise I've talked about it.
Well, thanks, Dan. I thought that was a really nice ceremony for a really great thing to happen. Mayor, does Mary have anything for the Historical Society?
Yeah, our program this month at the Fire Hall will be the historical overview of the Heinz History Center by Bob Stapley at 7:30 p.m. And I forgot the date.
I don't know. They're usually the last Tuesday or the last Sunday. And it's a seasonal thing.
Tuesday. The last Tuesday this month.
24th.
Bridgeville Library, Aaron, it's a big month.
It is good.
Would you like to tell us why?
September is Love Your Library Month. So any donation that the library receives during the month is eligible for a prorated match through the Jack Buncher Foundation. And we also have a bunch of things going on. This week is the Friends of the Library, their fall used book sale. Friday and Saturday, that's 10 to 4, and then Sunday, 11 to 1. It's a donation-based bag sale, so just come and fill the bag. And then next week is our 1980s murder mystery fundraiser. The Friday session is full. There's still tickets for Saturday. It's $25 $5 per person. You get a free drink from Washington Brewing Company, Empanada Company is gonna do food, and then we'll have additional refreshments, and we'll get a chance to win a raffle prize. So it should be a lot of fun. And then also our fall programming begins this week, so a lot to do in September.
Any questions for the library? Thanks, Aaron. Deb, Parking Authority.
Okay, I'm muted. We had no meeting in August. We will meet next Monday night. We have a couple projects still going on, and really don't have anything. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Any questions for Deb? Thanks for joining, Deb. Planning Commission, Dale here. Mike? I'm here. It's up to you.
I'm here. In addition to continuing to talk about the active transportation and comprehensive plan, the big thing we talked about was parking for businesses, and we looked at it, the quickest way to. We recognize that there's an issue with how our zoning is with parking, the minimal amount of parking spaces. Joe provided us a map, a detailed map of Bridgeville showing where our public lots are and our current, was it 600 feet?
Correct.
Yeah, so what our public lots encompass for the business district and where the deficiencies were on that. So we're trying to figure out what's the path, the quickest path to solving the parking problem. Is it, do we look at how we zone each business, or do we figure out where we need to put a public parking lot to encompass the rest of the business district, or do we increase the radius of the parking lots to encompass more of the businesses? So that was the big thing we talked about. And then, well, to your point, that is on that development in Upper St. Clair. I brought that up on new business. That is on our radar. We know that they're talking about it. They planning commission before, when I was on council, before I was on planning commission, that there was another person that tried, another development that was trying to do that same piece of property, and they were unsuccessful in developing it, but it was discussed then, and we caught wind that a new company is trying to develop it now. So, they haven't approached us formally at the planning commission, but we know it's on our radar. So,
Thank you.
that's all I have. Any
Any questions for Mike? Okay, thanks, Mike. Thanks for Borough Manager Joe Cox.
Just a couple of things. Recap of Council Franchuk was saying the Cook School project is complete. The pickleball court and basketball court was reconstructed using DCNR park grant funding. We got a couple punch list items that still need addressed. Hopefully it'll be worked out within the next couple of weeks so that we can close that out by next council meeting. Another interesting project we just wrapped up was Center Street. It was a unique timing where the borough and the water company worked together to do a unique project there where we had a problematic sanitary sewer line up there that we held putting out the bid until we knew that water lines were going to be replaced up there. So Center Street's like the model of multi-agency cooperation where the street had the water lines replaced, the service lines to the house. We fixed an extensive sanitary sewer line, it was all reconstructed. We worked with the fire department to relocate a fire hydrant that was not in an optimal location. Public Works rebuilt all the catch basins. We cut back brush along the street, and the water companies had come in after all that work and paved the road for us. So it was one of those, everyone working together and the stars aligned for once. So that should be wrapped up within the next couple of weeks. They should be planning to pave next week up there. PennDOT is planning to do the Bank Street bump outs within the next 2 months. So we'll be seeing construction starting on Bank Street to reconstruct the handicap ramps, and we worked a deal with them to incorporate a project that was identified within the active transportation plan to put pedestrian bump outs at the corner of Gray Avenue and Winfield, and they'll be put in within the next 2 months. They're saying tentatively their goal is Halloween, so we'll see where that comes about. The last project to bring up to speed on is the McLaughlin Run Park Meadow. You may have noticed that the grass has been killed off on the site. The contractor that was retained by the state through that grant project started the first treatment of herbicide to kill off the grass so that they can plan for a fall planting. So the meadow is on track to start being developed. This time of year is a busy time of year for municipal governments. You got budgeting, like the Councilman Ducey was saying, but a lot of grant applications are due right now, so it makes it really busy. So over the past 3 weeks, we submitted grant applications for the municipal assistance funding program to assist with zoning project, the grant project for Chartiers Park ball field lights, and with that project, we know it's going to take several tries and different funding sources. So we're submitting also to the state's gaming money for that project as well. There was a technology grant that Councilman Ferry forwarded to me that would provide the borough with laptop computers. We submitted an application for that. So if we're funded, the game plan was to provide every municipal official the boards with laptops so the packets could go digitally if it goes that way. We submitted CDBG grant applications to upgrade drinking fountains in parks. And then for the past couple of years, we submitted a grant application to the Attorney General's office. The police department helps us get the Halloween handouts that make the treat bags. So we submitted that application. So there's been a lot of work on financing going into the next year, so it's busy grant and budget season. So that's people think fall, we think budgets. So there we go.
I will speak for everybody here. Thank you, Joe. Because you love paperwork, and that's all grants are, and patience and writing.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for this computer thing.
So thank you very much for all you do. Do we have any new business? Bruce is in here. Jason, you want to step in for Bruce? To adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.